Somewhere along the line in financial security, there are decisions that you're making throughout your business career, throughout your personal career, life, everything else. You have to decide what works for you from a financial standpoint. It goes back to math, right? So the financial security looks at it and says, what is the number? I think everybody should have a number that makes you comfortable and content and happy and all good. Because what can happen is very, very easily is that number can continue to move. Once you hit that number, you go, wow, okay, 3 million, I don't think is enough. 5 million. 5 million isn't enough. 10 million. It just keeps going up. Somewhere along the line, you have to decide what works for you. What is your number? And once you hit that number, then it's probably time to sell. And do the math and have that number. The number is going to change because shit, with inflation today, you know, it has to be a whole new number. You decide what is contentment for you. You have to decide what is financial security for you. And it also has to do with risk, right? Risk is a huge part of financial security. What kind of risk are you willing to take to get to that financial security? Risk reward. Risk reward is how good am I, okay, and what am I going to get for that kind of risk? If I'm going to take a big risk, I want a big reward. If I'm going to take a small risk, I want a small reward, okay? Ideally, you want small risk, big reward. That rarely happens, okay? But the more research and the more experience you have, the more learning curve you have, the smaller the risk has to be for a bigger reward. So somewhere there's a balance in there, and you have to decide how much risk you're willing to take to get X reward. And it's a math equation. It is always a math equation, and it's a balance. There are times that I don't bring my wife into the conversation because I am willing to take a risk that she may not be willing to take. We don't gamble at all. One time we went to the casino and we're playing in a slot machine or whatever else, and it's a 5-cent slot machine. And all of a sudden we've been there for probably 30 minutes and we're winning. And it's all, and you're like, well, how much is like 15,000 nickels? And the lady next, and we're like, I have no idea how to do that math. You're trying to figure out the math. And the lady beside us, who obviously played slot machines, nickels, for her whole life, $805.15 or whatever it was. And you're like, and we put in $20, and my wife, cash out, cash out, cash out. No more risk, no more. It's like, we made money, go out, stop now. And I think she would have stopped at $25 had she known. So it's one of those kind of things you have to understand risk versus reward. Me, I would have probably, because it's entertainment. Yeah. And, but you know, she wanted to cash out $800. That was a lot of money based on what you put in. So you look at it and say, are you willing to risk your everything for this? Is the return possible return? Because it's a possible return based on the risk you're about to take. And that's math. That's statistical probabilities. That's everything that you're going to do, I think, has risk reward. Part of your life, every part of your life is risk reward. And you know, how much time, golf, how much money are you willing to spend? That's what it is. How much money and time and effort are you willing to give golf to go from a 10 handicap to a 5 handicap? Is that going to do anything for me financially? And is that going to do anything for me for the rest of my life? I don't know. It's your call, right? Is it better to spend, you know, time with your kids? I don't know. Is it better? I'm not going to judge anybody. So is it that time worth it to you? Do I want to be a 10 handicap or 5 handicap? What do I have to sacrifice? What do I have to risk to get that? Okay. That extra 10 hours a week to get there or more, is it worth not spending time with your kids? Is it worth not spending time with your wife? Is it worth losing out on potential business? All those factors come into having a much better golf game. That's what it is.